And speaking of public safety, one Portland attorney is trying, in his own way, to make the county accountable for things that happen on our streets, specifically property crimes. John DiLorenzo was the attorney behind the 2022 lawsuit against the city of Portland for allowing tents to block ADA access on public sidewalks. The city settled that suit in 2023. However, they were just in mediation over whether or not the city is violating that settlement for allowing Multnomah County to hand out tents that end up on Portland streets. That is on hold for the moment per the request of the mayor, but we are closely following. But now, instead of a lawsuit, DiLorenzo is proposing something else that he hopes will improve public safety in Multnomah County. He wants to get this proposal on the November ballot, making it so Multnomah County is responsible for paying up to $2,500 to property crime victims for damages that happen within the county. Think of things like smashed windows, theft, and also physical injuries as a result of the crime. The proposal would require the county to create a crime victims compensation office to manage the claims and pay those claims within 60 days. It also prohibits the county from creating a new tax to fund this, meaning the budgets for the sheriff's office and district attorney's office would have to include some funding for this, pressuring the county to take meaningful steps towards lowering property crimes. So I asked DA Vasquez about this idea earlier today.
What I would prefer is that the county invest the money in public safety as opposed to kind of really having to come in on the back end and pay for these things. Do I understand where this is coming from? Yes. Would I much prefer that they appropriately fund public safety? Absolutely.
Joining us now live is John DiLorenzo, the man behind this proposal. Mr. DiLorenzo, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. How are you today, Blair?
I'm good, thanks. All right, so talk to me. What sparked all of this?
Well, I blame the lack of leadership from Multnomah County as to why property crime is out of control. And besides homelessness, property crime is one of the biggest impediments to recovery of our community. You take a look at where we are right now vis-a-vis county budgets. There are 500 unstaffed, empty jail beds in Multnomah County because the county chair will not allocate sufficient funds to staff them. The county chair proposes to flatline the sheriff's office, should be expanding that, and is likely to attempt to cut the DA's office. And there are not enough sheriff's deputies to assist in investigating crime. Now, if we were to sit down and create a government from scratch, what is the very first thing we would want it to do well? We'd want it to protect us and to protect our property. Yet, the county chair who directs the budget is failing miserably in this way. So, I've learned over the years that one of the best ways to get action is to make your problem someone else's problem. And this initiative is designed to do just that.
So I want to talk about this initiative more, your proposal. It says come the end of 2026, so the end of next year, if the federal stats show that theft has dropped below 2014 levels in Multnomah County, then the county would not have to pay these claims for a year. I mean, realistically,
that's right.
Do you think that will happen?
Well, I think that ultimately the county will have no choice if this initiative passes, but to fund public safety to get those crime statistics down to where they were in Portland's Hallican days. That's what we're trying to do. We don't want to unduly punish anybody's budgets. But the point is the county is failing to achieve the main reason why it was created in the first place. And until it does that, it shouldn't be losing its way financing other programs that have nothing to do with public safety.
So
now,
sorry to jump in here. In the proposal, you draw a connection between the county's harm reduction efforts to the increase in property crimes. And we know harm reduction is what the county calls things like handing out tents and tarps, and drug supplies mostly to homeless people. So connect those dots for me. How is handing out a tent a direct correlation to increased crime?
Well, we know that Portland has a rampant drug problem. And when people are addicted to drugs, they finance their habits by committing what some people feel are minor crimes, but what other people feel are the types of crimes that can destroy their opportunity to pursue a livelihood, like someone breaking into a car and then the owner no longer having it available for transportation and no longer being able to get to their job. Someone stealing a bicycle, which is needed for transportation by somebody who might be working in a coffee shop, who can no longer get to their job. I think it's time that Multnomah County start doing things for people who follow the rules and say, look, we've got your back as your government. We need to tell the small business person who sells sandwiches that when their windows are broken, we have their back. And we have to make sure that people who rely on transportation, rely on their bikes, rely on their cars, know that until such time as we get property crime levels below or back to where they were, again, when Portland was a wonderful city, the county's going to pay for it until such time as they do something about it.
So part of this requires the county to create a new office to handle these types of claims, which I assume means more staff. But let's be real. How is this even a possibility given the county is in the middle of a massive budget shortfall with cuts coming to seemingly every department? And now you're suggesting they hire more people and pay for a portion of property crimes. I mean, why do you feel like this would work given the county's current financial situation?
They would have to cut other budgets and focus on their prime directive, which is to make our community safe. Because without that, nothing else is worth it.
And is the underlying motive here to apply pressure on the county or to reduce property crime? Because it almost seems like, and if we're just simply talking about reducing property crime, that this is a reactive approach to that instead of a proactive one.
It is an attempt to put pressure on the county's leadership to redirect budgets to accomplish what should be the county's prime directive, which is to make our community safe.
And what is next for your proposal? I understand you need 30,000 signatures by September 19th.
30,000 signatures. Put it on the ballot. We are hopeful that if the measure passes, it will send a message to the county commissioners that the voters have a clear expectation of what their prime job is. And it'll tell local merchants and others that we have our back. And it'll tell our citizens that the county is actually willing to do something nice for people who fall.
Okay, John DiLorenzo, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate you entertaining this proposal.
All right, well, now it is your turn to weigh in. What do you think about this proposal to pay victims of property crime? If this comes up on the ballot, would you vote for it? Why or why not? Email us, thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. Or you can always hit us up on social media.